away. It's all yours.
Good evening, everybody. It's great to see you. Well, some of you are in commuting, some of you are here, so I appreciate. Thank you, Stephen, for being dressed up for the occasion for this evening. So I appreciate that. You know, the most dressed award, which was great. So no matter what, top of the game for job search already. So that's a great cue on there. And for the year, by the way, you're #1 because you got the tie on. Because I've only seen sport coat, but I haven't seen tie. I don't know about you, Eric, if you've that is. So that's awesome.
First impressions.
That's it. That's truly it. You know, at the end of the day, great military background as backdrop as well. If you're able to show yourselves, that's great. If you're commuting, we live in that type of age. If you're walking your dog, or whatever you're multitasking on the Peloton, however you're getting your motivation, then feel free to join us like this. I think because of the intimacy of this group, and we take this live, and then we take this on the road. On the road means we add it to our YouTube channels and distribute it. There's an opportunity at the end that we'll be able to engage more. We did that last time. We'll ask people some questions in the Q&A and all that stuff. So without further ado, you know, we'll get started together. I'm Alex Urchowski with Greater Philadelphia Veterans Network. I'm a Navy veteran, transitioned twice out of the service. I am the founder of Greater Philadelphia Veterans Network, but at the same time, I also am co-founder of the Veteran Shark Tank, and our mission is to drive the economic success of our community through jobs, leadership, and business. You can find more on our website, everything there, but going through the personal journey of transitioning twice, really wanted to grow one of the largest networks in Philadelphia to help everybody drive each other's success and teach our community how to engage with us, either by employing us or buying from us. So I'm going to kick it to my counterpart, Eric.
Yeah. Hey, good evening, everyone. Thanks, Alex. Thanks for you and Olivia putting this together tonight. So I'm also a member of the Greater Philadelphia Veterans Network, but I work full-time for FourBlock, which is a not-for-profit veteran service organization specializing in career development for veterans and their spouses. And I've been with that organization in 2 capacities for just about 7 years now. Live outside of Philadelphia, retired Army artillery officer. Did some consulting and leadership and team development, corporate training when I first got out of the military, a little bit of teaching also. And then I fell in with FourBlock and could not resist the opportunity to lead in that organization. So that's what I've been doing for a while, and working with a lot of veterans and periodically with Alex and special events and doing programs like we're going to do tonight for you all. So excited to be here, excited to share some lessons learned, some perspective, to answer questions, and just, you know, help out wherever we can. So great to be with you all tonight. Thanks.
Great. So we're going to kind of split up this program in a couple of different buckets on there. Kind of our expertise is overlapping, but also split in the middle. So we want to kind of share where we see things, and feel free to raise your hand. And by the way, I can't see everybody, so if, Olivia, you can see where everybody's raising their hand, or comment in the chat box. I have it here open on the side here in between. It's not a formal way of doing things. So just, you know, if you have a question on a certain area or an area that's personal to you and you feel like you want to open up resolving an issue or something that you see as a roadblock, that's what we're here for today as well. And then we can do offline as well. So Olivia, if you want to kind of kick it off with the next slide. So I think what the best way to start things off is about the job search, right? And the job search, typically reflection is key. Is everybody wants to set goals, but sometimes before setting goals, you got to know what's holding you back. So in life, if you want to set business goals, you got to understand why couldn't you hit them last year or the year before, or what are some of the issues. If you want to go on a diet, you got to understand, if you're going to set goals, what are some of the challenges that you could be facing? You like sweets, you like to eat things late at night. If you want to go to the gym, you may not want to wake up early. All these things about if you have a plan. So rather than just making plans, what I realized when I got out twice out of the service was really about things that I faced that I really wish I would have addressed early. And addressed early means, what are the ones that are going to prevent me to perform at the best ability during the job search? So in no specific order, these are pretty blunt, but I just, we're military people, so we can talk to each other. It's really understanding where everything lies in here. So one of them is about the circle of trust. And what I mean by that is, we've been professionally jaded at a young age. I don't know about any of you, but I've extended deployments. If you've had canceled leave, whatever you've had, we've been pretty disappointed at a young age. So we've been kind of a little bit jaded, and we've kind of are in the business of friend or foe, right? In the military, doesn't matter what service branch, there's a enemy and there's a foe. So unfortunately, unconsciously, we carry that out, and it's a little bit dangerous when we're saying and meeting people and handshakes and how they carry themselves. So I don't think we all are quick to judge, but we do have a tendency to not allow people into our circle quickly. So one of the things that could be challenging is one of the areas, as well as the fact that where veterans need is to trust, to begin with trust, to build relationships and network. And you don't know where it is. And don't lose trust as well easily if somebody doesn't somebody forgets to email you, or somebody's late to do something. It doesn't mean you shouldn't lose trust. So this area is important. Just that's one of them. My mission is, Eric will focus on that a little bit more, but it's really more of everybody's kind of, let me rephrase that. We're doing a lot better, not spraying, praying, what the background is and what I could do. Everything looks like an opportunity. Targeting is important. You could have 1 or 2 targets. So my mission is important, rather than posting resumes, applying for jobs and not getting back. Clarity is important. That was heard back from employers. So employers that we train say, hey, do veterans want my job, or do they want a job? So I'll say it again. Do veterans want my job, or do they want a job? Because they can see when a veteran just wants a job, and they need to hire somebody that wants that job. So that's the important about my mission, is that they can see when you're like, I want to be a project manager, I want to be in sales. I am. So, maybe it's the Navy or the gift of the gab. Who knows? Each branch is different, right? So, but at the same time, the bluntness of how we speak, I am, the humbleness is really dangerous when job searching. I mean, completely dangerous when it's job searching. When people buy people, they want to know the personality that's going into their organization, not just the job you do. So, Marines talking bullet points. Sorry if I offended any Marines. By the way, I'll probably offend somebody again. So I'm good. I'm in the business of offending, as my dad says, then you'll get stuff done. So at the end of the day, I am saying, so-and-so, Eric, what did you do? I did. Oh, where did I am? So the short answers are not there. Stories, everything, but extended hands, building relationship. Because if you want people to refer you, it's not about just the military. They got to get to know you. They got to get to know the story and the depth. So keep it where you're not boasting, but you're also proud of your background. And if you don't practice it, trust me, it comes out. Every week I run into somebody. The extreme politeness of the military comes out. Yes, sir, I did. Yep, no problem. So be careful. I'm not an alcoholic. I use that one. I mean, I think Olivia one day will get that changed. I didn't mean it in that way. Where people say, I don't have a job search problem, everybody else is the problem. So what's the job searching challenge is when veterans don't want to pivot, they don't want to make a change. They are not saying they're alcoholics. They don't want to go to AA meetings. So you're here. So a lot of you, if not most of you, are not in that category, but a lot of people want to do it alone. And that's dangerous too. So you got to make sure, if there's an issue, if there's a challenge, that's normal, by the way. If anybody here doesn't have any challenges in life, I'd love to meet them. Because at the end of the day, I think I've tried to conquer 10 challenges in a day. And if I score 68%, I'm good, right? Lack of info, really about how you're making your judgment. Are you making your judgment clean? Are you making your judgment based on people? Don't go to these events. You'll never get a job. Don't do this. So whatever type of negative vibes from the veterans that didn't do well, be careful of how you filter that info. That company does X, that company does Y, right? So this is all behind the scenes. So a lot of you are like, why do I need to know this? I said, because all of these are relevant of why the performance is horrible in the field, right? People prep before going to the field. So check your box, check all these boxes. We'll send this out in the PDF too. Is where are you going with your info? How deep and wide are you in the category? Do you know small, medium, large companies? Do you know about what leadership is in the civilian world? Check the boxes, dig around. Not being Marine, I'm not going to lie, that one came up a lot and it has been continuous, but I think the tenacity is a little bit there. I think in the military, we're not used to really failing, I guess. We struggle, but we don't fail, right? We have a protected base. So you get great evals and nobody's there to say you did really bad, right? So when you're job searching and things don't go well, it gets emotional, stress, anxiety, all this stuff. So where do you have to be? We'll talk about that later a little bit, is Marines, not being Marine, right? So here's the first question out to everybody. Why are the Marines the best at job searching? Anybody want to give a go? Nobody want to give it a chance?
Come on, be bold. What is it about Marines or mentality that make them the best at job searching? What's bred into the Marine Corps?
No, we can debate, but that's over whiskey. But here it's just more what's the clean answer of why it is, right? All right, so I'll tell everybody. I know it's the end of the day, so I'll give you a pass. So Marines don't care. So let me rephrase that. Marines care, but they don't care. And Olivia was smiling. She was like, am I supposed to be offended by that comment? Right? So Marines care, but they don't care. They don't care if they get rejected. They have a mission. They're on point. So you're going to get slapped around. You're going to get all this job search. Now, again, this is the raw version of their job search. You can go to the DoD one. They give you the bright and bubbly one with unicorns on there, right? But this is really the artillery one of the good meat on the bones. So really, not being a Marine is the attitude, because it check the emotions. Succeed to fail. I think that you have to be ready for that. That's what we talked about before. There's challenges, there's failure, whatever it is. So this is the pre-checklist before deployment on the job search. Next slide, Olivia. So keep these in mind. If you're going to do a job search, what 3 things matter the most in life is these things in order for activity. I mean, for everything to happen in life, when you try to make a plan, job search is no different than business. It really isn't. What will get you there? These 3 factors are the only ones that can prevent you, or if they're aligned, you'll get it quicker than you've ever imagined. So what do I mean by mindset? Mindset is a couple different things. As I told you, we have some beliefs as veterans. Some are clean, some are negative, some are experiences, some are hardships, whatever they are. You got to be careful. So mindset is about having really no self-limited beliefs. Nobody wants to pick up the phone. That could be a self-limited belief. I'm better texting. That's a self-limited belief. Nobody wants to talk on Mondays. Nobody wants to talk on Fridays. I can make you the list, and then the activity is like 15% because of self-limited beliefs. No HR person wants to respond to me. No, nobody, and they keep going. We all get in a trap, by the way. We're all human. I've done it, right? Based on experience. So mindset is really about having no self-limited beliefs and no negativity as well. Negativity is a bad mindset. So when things don't go well, how to stay good, battle buddies, FourBlock groups, all the stuff is important when you're doing this stuff to be able to share. Those cohorts of FourBlocks are so strong to get you through the thick of it. So activity, it's really talking about, but first let's go to process. So process is really about what are you doing? How are you dressing? How are you getting the house in order to get to your job search? What is the resume that was created? Where's your network and where's your list of individuals? What is the tone that you're going to use? What is the outreach plan that you're going to do? And on learning these things and activating these things, what's the process? If you don't have a process, it's like a business plan, then you're just going Monday, Friday, next week, Thursday, and it's very loose, right? Because if you look at the infrastructure of a house, everything is there, the bones of it, right? So what I learned they don't teach you in the military is really putting all of them together, right? So on the activity, I think I have another slide if we want to show that, Olivia. That one, I don't know if you can see well, and I apologize. My screen doesn't make it big, but maybe that's just my screen. But I will see if you can make it bigger. I don't know if there's a way you could drag these. This here is an accountability algorithm. Be happy to share it with people. Shoot me a note, get with Olivia. She'll put her email address on there as well. So what do I mean by accountability? So figure this, right? Think of this. And I would love an answer too, because it's another participation one. What do most of the population do when they arrive to a gym like Planet Fitness? What do they do? Anybody want to take a guess?
Take selfies and let everybody else know they're there.
What they do?
Take selfies and let everybody else on Instagram and Facebook know that they're at the gym.
There you go. That's a must, by the way.
And why do they do that?
No,
Because they're not focused on the mission at the gym with a deliberate plan of action for the gym, right?
correct. But we sometimes are those people too. Anybody else want to take other than a selfie? What do people do for activity that's in the gym typically when they arrive? General population. It might not be any of you, but just take a guess of what the other side could be. Anybody want to take a guess? Come on, we need more Stevens here. All right. So the general populations, they typically will go find a machine to get on. They'll go on a cardio. And that's their 30 minutes. How many calories do they think they burn? Maybe a good amount, but they're not focused. But they did the activity they said they would. They would go to the gym, but they did not plan the process and the mindset to do the accountability of what they're doing in the gym. So what I mean by that is, think of this. When you go to the gym, some people do legs, some people do arms, some people do this. You got reps and sets. If you're focused, that's all you do. And guess how those people look? Better than the general population. What happens if you have accountability in your job search? How do you look in your job search? It's all the same in life. It's the same, but we can't do things differently. People says, oh, this is my first time doing this. I'm like, not really. You're doing it in other places in life. You got to carry those habits. This is about all habits, right? All these things are about habits, mindset, and everything else. So some people avoid leg day. And what does that mean? Some people avoid networking. So remember, don't go to the gym if you don't want to do the hard things. So think if you use the gym properly, and if you use the gym properly, you could burn 1,500 calories in an hour. Let's just say, great CrossFit gym. If you barely use the gym in the same amount of hour, you could burn 700 calories. So look at the results on your job search. And what are your results for your activities? So most people, it's hard to see when you do it alone. when you're like, am I doing a lot? Am I doing a little? I'm in the military. I'm working. I'm like, yes, chalk that up for things that are happening. How do you make your time management is why you use this tool here. It's a toaster. It's called a toaster. It's an algorithm. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So what it does, and again, you create your own columns here. It keeps you aligned of what you're going to be doing every day. You could have a blank Monday. You could have a blank Thursday. But as long as you're hitting your weekly goal, applications 10 a week. Is that strong or high? I'm not sure, but you put your numbers. This is just an example. It doesn't mean it's true. And what does it mean by putting applications? Networking with targeting industry and companies. So if you're back in Philly, if you're going to the chambers, if you're going somewhere else, if you're back out, you're a college student, where are you networking? Are you online? There's a lot of online. A lot of online. Even if you're not coming to Philadelphia, which we are, there's events that are happening all over different cities. If you go to Eventbrite, if you go to different types of platforms that do social and business events that are virtual for those cities, hop on them from your base, make a name, see who these people are, right? So don't have the mindset there's nothing to attend, even if you're not in the same zip code. One-on-one meetings. So why this is important here, this category is usually the least full. And the reason why is people didn't have the plan. So when they go to the networking event, they're going to tell the person, I want to follow up with you to do a one-on-one. If you don't have the mentality of getting the outcomes you want, you won't fill that category in. Nobody's going to come up to you and go, Craig, love to do a one-on-one with you. So how do you drive that activity? It's an art and a science. You got to play around with your gym. You got to figure out what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. But there is a formula of success of getting these algorithms in. It's all an algorithm here. One-on-one meetings happen when you get referred. One-on-one meetings happens when somebody goes, Alex, I want to jump on the phone with you. Okay. That's their mission, not mine, right? Phone calls, that could be that category in itself. It just could be informal phone calls. Like, hey, what do you like about your job? You should be doing a ton of those, by the way. What do you like to do? That's why there's 10. Do you see how high they are? Informal phone calls. Love to see. It could be Zoom, whatever the category is. Contact with decision makers. I put that low, as you can see. It can get hard to get decision makers. And not everybody's decision makers. So why that's listed in there is most people, when they go to the gym, they need to write everything down so they know what to do in the gym. They have an app that tells them what to do based on their scheduled day on Tuesday and Wednesday. This can help you because unconsciously, you're not in the conscious world right now of your activities. So you need to realize how these areas focus your activities of saying, wait a second, I did not have a meeting with a decision maker this week. Okay, how are you going to do it next week? Each week will follow each one. If you schedule some meetings, they're all drop here. It takes effort to fill these areas. Interviews, all these things that you did in the beginning will be about getting to the interview. All those activities. So you're creating these activities to get to there. Job fairs, take it or leave it. You know, some places, some people have great success. Some people have challenges. It depends which ones. There's virtual. There's, I think veteran recruiting. There's recruit military. There's a bunch of them out there, and then the cities as well, and normal ones, right? There's still people out there, and trust me, it's a good market right now. In the next couple of years, it's going to be still a great market for jobs. Job leads received, and what do I mean by that? That's referrals. So that number is a little bit high. So I'm not going to lie, that is pretty high. I don't know why I put it that high. So what it is it allows you to realize how many referrals you're getting from people. When you talk to a lot of people in the week, eventually somebody's going to give you a referral. So remember the algorithms in there. The last one is you're all in the business of collecting decisions. Did I get the job or not? Am I still a candidate or not? Because once you go through that, nope, I'm not a candidate anymore. That's okay. It's a competition. You know, not everybody's a winner, right? So I think at the end of the day, what you need to do is basically work your way down there. They're all on a rated scale. At the top, you'll see the percentage score. So the percentage score, the rated scales is the score percentage is up there. You see 0%. Scoring about 60 to 70% is usually good because that keeps you aligned of what your goals are. You should never be hitting your goals. That means you're limiting yourself of your activity. Should be lower than your activity goal on there. So that, if you could go back to the other slide, Olivia, that completes this discussion about the job search structure. I'm going to take a pause here about mindset, activity, and process. Anybody have any questions or anything else related to that before I kick it over to Eric? All right.
I got a comment on that, Alex. So can you go back one, Olivia? So yeah, on the process, and then to Alex's spreadsheet there.
One more slide.
Yeah, that one right there, accountability. So the accountability is huge. I mean, you've got to develop a mechanism to understand and track the progress you're making in this process. Some people are more scientific and data driven, and they really need to visualize this. And so this is a great tool to modify to suit your needs as you go through this process. These are some great categories for, what you're getting done with the frequency during the week, and have target goals. You studied goal setting and all that. Other people are less so, right? But how are you still tracking, these items in your head or on the wall, or, as you're journaling through, so you can track and organize in some sort of manner. The key is you're developing an internal accountability mechanism, and maybe you've got a mentor or a coach or a buddy who's, you're doing this with a buddy, someone else, and you say, okay, what'd you get done this week? Well, I only talked to 4 people. Okay, you suck. I talked to 12 people. Okay, let's go. Come on. And so you kind of build some accountability in there some way. Otherwise, you'll get stagnant. So, and for instance, you can modify that tool, as you see fit. Applications. One of the things I've started telling veterans more and more recently is, and this may surprise you, is stop applying for jobs. You say, Eric, why would you say stop applying for jobs? I need a job. I want to get a job. Because I think it's more important to apply for people and relationships, to learn from them and for them to understand who you are and learn about you, so that the job is actually coming to you and you're getting tapped on the shoulder versus the other way around. Worst case scenario, you actually have to apply for a job. And what I mean by that is, people at the company, you've talked to people at the company, you've networked with them, they know you, you've visited them, you've done events with them, job shadow, etc. And you haven't got tapped on the shoulder. It's a big organization, but you want that job. So you apply for that job. And as soon as you do, and by the way, the people at the company have coached you on that process, how to do that best with that company. And then as soon as you drop that application, you're letting those folks know you've applied for the job. And they're sending emails and texts and phone calls to the people they know to say, hey, you know what? We know Steven. We've talked to him a couple of times. We've met this guy. He needs to be interviewed. He should be in the interview stack. Because a lot of those resumes and the applications that are coming in, out of 76 of them, 33 aren't even making it through the applicant tracking system because they weren't set up the right way. And out of the others, some human being has to screen them and decide the 10 or 15 they're going to be interviewed. And I guarantee you 9 out of 10 of those resumes that make it to the interview stack are through personal connections or referrals. Okay, there might be one in there where that resume was so good and made it through the applicant tracking system that the human said, yep, that person needs to be interviewed. That looks like the unicorn we're looking for. Everybody else was a personal connection. So that's why I say stop applying for jobs, start applying for people and relationships. But this tool and the accountability concepts is really important. So it's really important to look at those, what are those actions you're going to do each week, and how are you going to measure yourself to get those things done to make progress? And it just doesn't come, overnight. But Alex is absolutely right. The more diligent you are, the more deliberate you are, the harder you push yourself in this, and have that Marine attitude, not worry about failures and no's, and didn't call you back for 2 weeks, and you just keep driving, it will come together faster for you than being tentative and too shy about the process. So let's talk about how not to be shy about the process. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, you got to figure out how to introduce yourself to people. You got to have your basic elevator pitch put together. And some of you have heard of this, and maybe some of you have not heard of this, and you practice it. We don't really learn how to do this in the military, folks. And, you know, and as you probably have figured out by now. That technique the gentleman using there with the guy up against the wall in his face, that's not the right answer. We want you to be a little bit more shy about it than that. But you're trying to engage effectively right off the bat in that first communication with that person. It was called the elevator pitch because you get on an elevator in a building and you're going up and someone introduces you to an important person on that elevator. How many floors do you have before that person gets off? What are you going to say? Or are you ready to introduce yourself effectively so that they will remember you and understand the direction you are going? And so that's how the elevator pitch comes to be. If you could build that, Olivia. Thank you much. This is something you want to continue to work on and continue to perfect it, and you can have more than one elevator pitch. You're quickly and efficiently introducing yourself to another person. You want to do this, be able to do this in 15 to 20 seconds and make it impactful. Next slide. Thanks, Olivia. Very briefly, you're giving the person an idea of who you are and what you'd like to do, right? You're giving them some background and the direction you're headed. And so now this person's armed with knowledge about you that they can start making, connecting the dots in their head. Do I need this person? Should I talk to this person? Who can I connect this person to? Oh, that's interesting. I want to ask more questions. Ooh, this person's squared away. They know how to introduce themselves. They know the direction they're going. I like that. Okay. So you're achieving all of this very quickly in 20 seconds with the elevator pitch. You got to be bold, you got to be brief, and you got to be warm and positive, right? So you heard be bold, be brief, be gone. I just modified it, said be bold, be brief, won't be warm. And if you get more time after introducing yourself, the question that will come after this one is, oh, Eric, that sounds great. Tell me more give me more of your background, or tell me more about that. And now you've opened the door for the conversation. So let's go to the next build. All right, so 20 seconds or less. Some people say 30. 30 is too long. You got to be able to do this in 20 seconds. We teach it in FourBlock, basically 4 main parts to the elevator pitch. First and last name, right? And always use the person's name 7 times in a conversation so you can remember their name and know it for the next time you see them. So use your first and last name when you introduce yourself. Do not use your rank, okay? Include what you did in the service. Branch, years, MOS. Now, not MOS code, because weans in the military don't even know each other's MOS codes and what they mean and all that stuff. So we're talking about, hey, I served in the Army 20 years. I was in artillery as a leader in the artillery. Okay, that's enough, right? Branch, artillery, amount of time I served in the service. What am I doing now? You all are doing something now. I'm learning about the intersection of technology and the financial world and learning about the field of fintech. I'm fascinated with that because of X. Where are you headed? I'm seeking a career in the future in law or in fintech, or I'm seeking a career in sales because I'm pretty good with people. And I've been told this is an area where I might excel. Or I'm seeking entry into graduate school to study X because I'm interested in a career in Y. So you're letting a person know who you are, your basic background from the military. You might, if you're slick, you can sneak in something in the military that you learned to do well, or where you learned you were very good at something. And then you're including what you're doing now to show your current development, because we're never sitting still. It's always about continuous position improvement, right? Dig the hole deeper, refresh the camouflage, get that ship in a better position, change your altitude, whatever it is, right? Recamo, okay? Maintenance, position improvement, all the time. So we're always going to include, what am I studying now? What am I doing now? What am I researching now? What school am I in right now? What certification am I in right now? Because that makes me more attractive as potential talent, whoever I'm talking to. And then the direction I'm headed as best as I know it. And we realize not everybody knows the direction you're going. And that's why what Alex said is so important about having a lot of conversations. Some people call it 50 cups of coffee. Can I grab a beer with you? Can I grab a cup of coffee? Can I chat with you for 15 minutes on the phone to learn about what you do? You got to have a lot of these informational interviews. That helps you verify the direction you want to go and helps people know who you are. So those are the 4 parts, really important. Next slide. Tell you what, we should take a quick break here. Let's go back, Livia. I want to get any volunteers in the crowd. Anyone want to pop on and give us your elevator pitch real fast? Who wants to give it a go? Come on. Don't be shy. Got to play to win.
I think these are all AI attendees.
Sean's going to give it a go. He's
I
stepping
am.
up. Nice.
How's everybody doing? I had to scope the scene first.
So military.
Didn't want to expose himself before he checked out the
I think he
target
came
area.
through the back door of this program. It never happened before.
So yes, hello, guys. I am Sean Soley. I am here, very interested in this program and this opportunity. In the service, I was in data analytics in the Marine Corps. I was in for 4 years, and I got out and I went to Penn State. I got my bachelor's in IT, kind of kept with the computer route, and now I'm going for my master's. Still at Penn State, and I'd like to open my own business.
Great. Great. All right. So you hit all the 4 components. And it's, for first time, or we haven't done this as much, it's, you're going to continue to practice that and polish that. And guys, this is just like sports on the M4. It's like your pro mask. It's like your emergency maneuver as a pilot. It's a battle drill. You've got to practice over and over and over. And we tell people, do this in the mirror, do it with your spouse, do it with your cat, do it with your dog. Practice, practice, practice until it gets very good, smooth, and easy to do and authentic without any hesitation, because you're going to use a lot. And so you're going to practice, 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 just like telling your story. We'll get to that in a little bit. So Sean, nice job. Well done. The way you approach this whole thing, I wouldn't have guessed data analytics. I would have guessed like Marine Corps recon or sniper or something. But
Well, yeah, it's you know what? It was the tone of the confidence that made it seem like, didn't it?
yeah, that's right.
You picked up on that, Eric, which was,
Yeah.
if everybody picked up on it, it was very sharp and confident. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's a great example of how it sounds like it's Marine recon, right?
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
Well,
firm.
I was 6046. There's a number for you, but I was maintenance administration for the Hueys and the Cobras.
Yeah.
I got sergeant in the 4 years and
Yeah.
black belt in martial arts and expert with the
Yeah.
rifle. So yeah, just a killer behind the desk.
Yeah. So and so this is a great point, because nobody in the business world or the civilian world, except for veterans, is really going to care that you were a black belt in jujitsu or whatever. But they sure as hell are going to care that you were responsible for maintenance management for Hueys and attack helos worth millions of bucks with lives in their cockpits, and that you were a supervisor as an NCO and you had what's called direct reports. Okay, you had 5 direct reports or 7 direct reports. So that speaks to level of responsibility and leadership potential. And that's what's really critical, right? Versus, I went through the combat lifesaver course 3 times. I shot expert with my weapon, right? Nobody cares. I care because that's cool stuff. But, the regular world, those people don't. So your elevator pitch, we kind of do Marine style, right? Short, sweet, effective, high impact. When we talk about ourselves in an interview and we answer the question telling our story, we go longer. We come out of Marine mode, soldier, service member mode, and we start to talk about ourselves in a little bit more of a conversational manner. And we must learn how to say I. Now, people say, oh, there's no I in team, but there is a me in team, isn't there? And what Alex said, companies want to know who you are, right? They're not hiring the qualifications and the school and the credentials. That's only part of it. They need to know who you are. And so that's why we have to learn how to explain that and share that and talk about that. So, elevator pitch, fast, high impact, efficient, meaningful. Okay. And then from everything from there on, more of a conversation that we're going to have, take more time, more detail. All right. Olivia, let's go to the next one. Thanks, Sean, for playing the game. You win tonight. We haven't figured out the prize yet. It'll be a surprise.
Okay.
All right. So networking, Alex mentioned this, 50 cups of coffee, grab a beer, 15 minutes on the phone, talking to people to learn about the career you want to go into, to figure out what you want to do, to learn about the company you're interested in, all these different things. That's why networking is so important. Veterans don't normally and naturally learn networking in the service for the most part. Some jobs they do. This is a critical skill in the outside world. It's not negative. Sometimes people think there's a negative connotation. It's not. It's learning. Networking equals learning. Networking equals picking up added combat power on your personal team for getting into the right position, the right company, and the right career. And so what we got to do first is identify the people we want to network. And we do that by networking with other people and connecting to veterans who work in different career tracks. If you want to understand sales, right, and the sales process and people, talk to Alex Archowski. That guy can teach you all about that, right? If you want to understand the not-for-profit world, that's what I work in, okay? If you want to work in the veteran space, I can tell you about working in the veteran space. So you got to identify veterans, I think, right off the bat, because there are already friendly forces out there on the battlefield that are probably going to say yes to talking to you and giving you some time. And they can start talking to you and teaching you and answering questions. You got to connect with people, right? So there's the right way and the wrong way to do that. You have to be deliberate in how you craft an email to people or on LinkedIn. Just don't hit the LinkedIn connect button. Oh, that guy looks cool. That guy looks cool. I'm going to connect. Don't just do that, because people aren't going to respond to that. They're going to blow you off. They don't know why you're connecting. We say always use a personal note on LinkedIn to explain why you're connecting, what you may have in common, and with a task, with an ask. So it's very clear to me how I can help you. And most veterans are not going to blow you off. And if you do it the right way, many civilians won't either. After you connect and you have that conversation, you've got to follow up with that person to demonstrate gratitude, to follow up with them later to tell them what the result of their connection was. Because if I connect to Alex and we have a great chat about something, and I say, Alex, at the end of that connection, I'm going to say, Alex, is there anybody else I can talk to learn more about a career in logistics in the Philly area? Alex says, yeah, talk to these guys over at Holt Logistics. I say, great. Now I go talk to the person at Holt Logistics and I have a great conversation. Guess what I got to do? I got to go back to Alex and say, hey, thanks so much for that connection. Had a great conversation with that dude. I really appreciate it. Now I've just reinforced Alex's positive behavior in helping me in the journey, right? And I've demonstrated gratitude. He's feeling good about it. He's more apt to do it the next time. And, I'm building Alex into my network as an ally, right? So you got to follow up the right way with the people you connect with. You've got to exhibit that curiosity and ask questions and be a great listener. Study the person before you connect, develop your questions, be a great listener, give them feedback afterwards. Being prepared for that session makes a great impression. Stephen didn't know exactly what he was walking into tonight. He decided, I'm going to throw on a tie. That's great. It's a little bit, over on the, dress, but that's okay. Better over than under, right? If you showed up with like a wife beater, t-shirt on or something, I'd be like, okay, Houston, we got a problem here. So you got to make a good impression, and then you got to pay it forward. Networking is also empowering other people and remembering who they are so that you can connect others. And that's what we do. We look out for each other in the veteran community, in the professional world, to help each other with connections. And what goes around comes around. And I've seen that over and over and over again. So really important. All right, next slide. So be willing to get in there and network and learn from people, have communications. Key tips. You're going to start wide, unless you already know where you're going in your career. You're going to start kind of wide. And as you start wide, it's going to help. You're going to start to narrow it down. Who you need to talk to, where you need to talk to people, the community, the location, the industry, the career. like I said, study people online before you meet them. Use LinkedIn. I cannot tell you, my wife does this so well. She figures out the last person who's in the job. She connects with that person. She quizzes them on it, finds out the gouge, gets the inside intel before she goes in, talks to the next person before she ever, applies for a position. And in doing so, sometimes she builds recommendations along the way. So it's really important to do that. Follow up quickly with responses. Get on people's calendar, try not to miss those, and avoid missing. If you have to miss, then you want to send a note ahead of time if possible to reschedule. Prepare for the meetings, be curious. Relationships are like bank accounts. Sometimes you may have heard that quote, right? You've got to keep contributing to that bank account to keep that relationship alive. If you don't, it's gonna fizzle out. Finish that, those engagements with who else should I know? Do you know that I can talk to? Who else can you refer to me? Who might be smart for me to talk to learn more about this? And then, always express that gratitude. Track your contacts, okay? Just like the Excel sheet that Alex has, we have a version of that at FourBlock. You can make your own. You got to track your people. When you talk to them, when you met them, where it was. Oh, we got two angels. Nice. All right. And it is okay. This is a great segue. It's a family affair. Okay. Sit down with your spouse, your closest, to make sure they understand, the stress involved, why it might take a little extra hours, more time, etc. Make sure everybody's kind of in the same sheet of music, because it can be challenging. And there needs to be some patience, in the process. So it can be a tough time. So make sure the ones closest to you are prepared for that. Okay, next slide. Great prompt. More key tips. Here's what I was talking about before. Okay, you've got to learn to say I, and we don't like that in the military, but you have to learn how to do it. When a company is talking to you, when a person is talking to you, they don't care about what your team did as much as how you led your team to do that and what precisely you did so that your team achieved that goal or that accomplishment. The company hires you, not the unit you're in, not your team. The company has to know who you are before they make that decision. So they want to know what you did. So you have to be able to talk about yourself. You have to develop your story, because in the military, we don't do that. And in the outside, in every single interview, you're going to hear the question, all right, tell me more about yourself, or give me your background. Tell me your story. What's your story? And you have to have deliberately thought about how you're going to answer that question. What do you want to share and why? Why is that important? Because people are trying to figure out, are you going to be a good fit on their team? Where could this person fit based upon what they've told me? What's unique in this person's background that's really interesting, that brings added juice to the team? Okay. So you've got to be able to speak to your accomplishments, your strengths, what you learned in the military, how you developed from the military, maybe your greatest failure in the military, what you learned from it and how you were able to recover, and how you use that going forward. So there are different things in telling your story, and there's different curriculum out there you can find easily that help you learn how to do this. And oh, by the way, you can use your network to help get feedback on this when you're talking to people. And you can say, hey, we talked and I told you my story. Can you give me some feedback about that? How did I do? And people want to help. So you want to talk about the value add from your military experience, not all the negative stuff, because we all had negative stuff in the military. But we really want to talk about the value add things in the military and focus on that. And I say, business cards are still relevant. Some people still use them. I would have them on hand, just a simple business card, but also know how to use the digital business cards in your phone, like the IR LinkedIn thing where you can connect right on the spot. Hi, hello, that sort of thing. You want to have multiple mechanisms. So first impressions, just like, Steven leading the pack for us tonight. It's hard to beat face-to-face handshake, smile, eyeball to eyeball. That is critical. And people that are introspective, introverts, you've got to be able to break out and just do it. Okay. It's just very important. People that are very extroverted, you got to rein yourself in a little bit. Like, don't be too excited. Don't be too chummy right off the bat. But first impressions are really, really important. And so How you're introducing yourself, how you're dressed, how you're prepared, how you're telling your story, how you're demonstrating gratitude, your questions, all of that is really important. You've got to practice emotional intelligence to pay attention to what people are telling you through their body language. Really important. We always say put a lapel pin of your favorite choice on your coat, suit, jacket, tie. It might be a point in common with someone else, or it might, drive a question that gives you the ability to launch into something. And then very bottom there, key tips, you're never asking for a job with anybody you talk to. And you're never saying I'll do anything. That's bad. Because if you say I'll do anything, then I know that you have not done that introspective work to figure out who you are and what you want to do in the direction you want to go. And I'm not interested in you at that point because that's hands off. You're not ready, right? So if you're in that inner circle of trust and you're telling the people in the inner circle that you trust, hey, I don't know what the hell I want to do next, that's okay, right? Because they're working through this process with you, okay? But to the outside, you want to have one or two options that you're examining and you're choosing to learn more about and go down that path so you can keep the conversation going. Okay, next slide. Throwing a lot at you guys, but well, let's go back one actually. Okay, so I want to stop again and see if there are any questions or any arguments for anything I said there, or different viewpoints on any of that stuff.
I want to emphasize an area, Eric, that you mentioned as well as really about extrovert, introvert areas and self-reflection. And sometimes we don't have that, as well as like how we see people. Some people are not the same as us. So that aspect of things doesn't mean that it's not a good conversation. We just got to read how it is. Some people are short and sweet. Some people are talking in circles. So if you have somebody that talks in circles, just wrestle them. Say, okay, let's get back to what we were talking about. Verbally wrestle them, right? It's an art and a science. Trust me. If not, you're going to be respectful. You'll be like, oh my gosh, where are we going? And then they're going to be like, yeah, when I was a kid, just keep them aligned. They won't take offense to it. And then introverts, it's like a slow engine. You feel like you're not jamming with them, but they need a little bit more to get going. So you just got to be very, very attuned not to bail. So bailing in a sense that we bail more today than anything, plans, activities, conversations, you name it, we're going to bail. So just be careful of canceling ourselves rather than canceling somebody else. And it's all usually communication and personality driven. We've met them all in the military. We love and hate them all at the same time. So everybody's a little bit different, right? And in any case, just the introvert extrovert part, and that's just, you gotta, it is like a mental jujitsu. It is. It's like, are you on the attack or are you on the defensive? Are you going? Are you but it's not a win. Like who's going to win? It's just really where you're playing verbally and stuff.
Yeah. So we in the FourBlock program, we say start at the beginning, and one of the first things that veterans in the FourBlock program do is a self-assessment of their career skills. And then the next thing they do is what's called the standout assessment provided by one of our sponsoring companies, ADP. And that's, some of you have done Myers-Briggs before, or DISC, or Clifton Strength Finders. Maybe you've read the book, What Color's My Parachute? These are all, I think, essential items. And no matter where you are, is to go back and revisit. It starts with the self. You are leading yourself through this process, and you have to understand who you are at the core. Your personal values, not what the Army or the Air Force told you your values are. And those are damn good values, but what are your personal values? And what are your natural strengths? What are you just naturally good at, despite anything else, God-given, however it came to you? Those natural strengths are very important to play to in your future career, because the research shows if you're aligning your natural strengths with your career, you have a much higher chance of being satisfied and successful than not. And so that's important as well. So values, strengths, and then curious. Where are you curious, or where do you want to make a difference, or what are you passionate about, where you want to try and make a difference? And if you can align those things through conversations with people to understand that career field you want to go into, now you've taken your shot group from out here and you've brought it down into here, so that all of your energy gets directed here with your networking, with your research, with the companies. It's much closer. And you're more efficient in the process using the tools Alex talked about, and being able to talk about yourself effectively, which is get you most of the way to the interview. There was something else in there that I just thought of and then I forgot. Sorry. So getting, narrowing it down to get that shot group down nice and tight. And it starts with this, it really starts with the self. I mentioned a couple resources to dig into. What color's my parachute? Is a good one. I like Clifton Strength Finders a lot. It's called Strength Finders 2.0. You buy it in the Barnes and Nobles. You use the coupon code. You do the assessment online. Answer the questions honestly. It'll give you extremely accurate readback on your strengths. They've developed these questions and data points over millions of users for years. So it's a very accurate assessment. And it'll confirm what you understand as your strengths and maybe surprise you with a couple as well. And then the rest of the book is how you maximize those strengths and where those strengths align in careers and industries. So that's, something to take a poke at as well, right up front. Let's say you've already been in this process for a while and you are struggling and you're not having success. My guess is you've been applying for jobs where you don't know people and you're not hearing anything back. Because I get that every day, multiple times. And this is why I say stop applying for jobs, start applying for people. Your network, your relationships, the events you go to, the people you talk with, that is what is so critical towards getting to the right place and getting tapped on the shoulder versus having to apply for a job. If you apply for a job, your resume has to be targeted. If you don't understand how to target your resume, you got to do some research there and you have to figure out how to do that. And there are free resources online for veterans to do that. You do not have to, pay for that. There's some technology out there that's pretty good that you can research to use. Offline is one item that's out there that more and more people are using. And there's some others as well. ONet's been improved over the years. So there's some resources over there where you could actually use artificial intelligence. You can take your resume and you can stick in a job description in your resume and use artificial intelligence to tell you how close the match is, how well you have targeted your resume. It'll give you a score. So that's really, really important. The cover letter is important. The targeted resume is important, but even more important than that is that personal recommendation or connection to get you to the interview. And so that's why I keep going back, that over and over and over. Networking, different groups, okay? Don't count anything out. You're at the soccer field with your kid, the lady standing beside you, better talk to her, figure out where she works, what she's doing. That could be a networking connection point right there. Your church, your kids' sports school, your kids' teachers, your military buddies, your parents. When I got out of the service, my mom introduced me to a friend of hers. I'm thinking, Mom, come on, stop. You know what? You haven't been working for 20 years. Well, that was a dynamite connection, right? And so that network can come from anywhere. And so looking at the different circles of possibilities is really, really important.
Eric,
all right.
Can I add something to this?
Yeah.
To as well. So you hit a great point right here. So what could be the good action step from this too is lists are really good. So what I mean by that is if you don't have a list, then that activity that you're going to do in the gym is not going to work real well if you don't have the list of names or list of companies or both and together. So a good action step would be to create a list of people, as Eric emphasized, grade school, high school. You would be surprised how many people want to support you that you never reconnected with. They could be at one of the biggest companies too that you'd want to work for. Childhood friend, you name them. Don't feel put off that you're showing vulnerability, that you're transitioning between school or out of the military, no, I mean, my experience, and Eric, you tell me, nobody looks at it like there's something wrong. You're job searching between jobs, you're looking for a job after college, you're getting out of the military. It's all normal. People take these conversations all the time. And when they know that you served our country, that adds another flavor. You'd be surprised. Patriots act a little differently than veterans. They tend to work because they didn't serve, so they might serve you. So don't discount that, right? Don't discount that. So that list is important as well because it gives you an idea. Now, in that list, you have to have tier 1, tier 2, and a tier 3. Tier 1 is level 1 of people that you know are really good people that have your back, and they are smart. They're in the professional. You know that they could answer good things and make introductions when asked, right? Tier 2 are people that you've known, you don't know their vibe. You don't know if they're willing to help. You don't know if they can help. And then tier 3 are just people that you've wanted to connect with. You may not know. It's a little bit cold. They may not be cold. And, you know, at the end of the day, they still should be contacted. So each of them.
Alex, to your point, Olivia, if you can get me sharing properties, I'll share by an example networking tracker sheet that we have that these guys and gals might find interesting. And it speaks to exactly what Alex is talking about.
Yes, so at the end of the one, Eric will bring it up. What it does is allows you the activity of understanding each one will be different. So just give me 1 second, Eric, before you go into there.
Okay.
Each one will have the reason why it's tier. No, go ahead and show it. Each one will have a different flavor of a conversation. The tier 1 will feel comfortable. You don't have to do a lot of selling. They're really, you know where they are, and the ask is hard because typically it's in your head, self-limiting beliefs. Like, I don't want to tell them I need something. I don't want to put them off, but that's what you're there for. If you leave the meeting waiting for something, they're not going to do it. Would you mind? If you know anybody in this area, do you know, but be careful of getting bounced around. We'll talk about that later. Bounced around to the wrong people. Be very, very directional of who you are seeking. If not, you'll space yourself where I've seen people go circles around people that are just not helping. So at the end of the day, that's tier 1. Tier 2 is a little bit more where it's just relationship building, and they're going to be curious of what's going on. They're going to say it's really good to know what's going on. And then you kind of figure out if the tone is there. And then tier 3 is the one you just got to sell yourself. You got to make sure that they understand. You don't know where they were, you don't know where they are, but they are in a place where you feel like they can help you. Don't be disappointed by any of them. So a lot of them are going to fail. So it is a statistics game. So, you know, I want to turn it back to you, Eric, but I'm going to tell you the statistics in life that Eric knows this and Olivia knows this as I live by. Just think baseball. If you fail at bat 70% of the time, you're in the Hall of Fame. So that means what happened? Do people say, I struck out, I suck, I failed, I got a grounder, no. If you bat 300, you're amazing in baseball. So look at your statistics of how you do the activity. If not, you will be super hard on yourself. And you're going to get angry, you're going to get stressed, you're going to get frustrated. If baseball players did that, where would they be now?
Yep.
If they fail 70% of the time, they're the perfect example of how you can be successful, make it in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a reps at bat, and out of 10
reps.
connections, 3 of them are going to produce fruit for you to help you get farther down the path. And that's just the nature of the beast. I mean, people vary at their effectiveness of doing this and following up and saying, and sometimes you got to hit people twice, right? Hey, Eric, you said you could connect me to Joe. It hadn't happened yet. Hey, I want that bump. I'm busy, right? I screw up, so give me that bump. I'm going to get it done. I said I would get it done. So, if you have to bump me, I'm good with that. You see this spreadsheet, this guy put together. This guy used to actually teach for FourBlock, and he got out. He was in 82nd Airborne. He's a captain. He got out. And he literally put this sucker together, and you can see all the metrics that he tracked, right? I was last in contact with the person, were they military, what branch, what was the action item from the last contact. I've sanitized a lot of this, but you can see, like, in all these different companies where, that he was trying to network with, and the people and their positions. And so he kept track of this thing, and he used it so that he knew when he had to follow up with people and who he had talked to. And he found it very, very effective for him. And this led to him getting to where he wanted to get. And he says, about 90% of what helped him get straight into KPMG where he started was that networking and being able to track it effectively and follow up with people effectively to make the right connections. So, that's part of the science, right, of the process, and the process Alex is talking about. Being able to introduce yourself effectively and tell your story is the art side of the equation towards building the network and the connections and being recommended for the interview, and that understanding the emotional intelligence going on in there. So I just wanted to share that